sometimes things are going to go wrong. Not every project we make as much as we thought, but some we make more than we thought. I'm totally cool with some projects having an issue. I don't need to be involved in every single decision. I have never talked to the contractors that we're working with. I've never seen them, talked to them on the phone. I don't even know their names. So that's how removed I am from that part of the business.
If you're a real estate agent earning $200,000 a year and you want to grow your passive income, this show is for you. Learn secrets other agents use and hear from experts in our field who will guide you on your journey to investing in assets like apartment communities so you can take your commissions and turn them into cash flow. Here's your host, Randall. Let's dive in.
All right, here we go. Welcome back. It is good to have you here today. My guest is Sharad Mehta. We have a conversation about rehabbing properties, how he has basically turned that system where he does 25 to 50 properties per year into a 5 to 10 minute per day job, right? Or not job, but thing that he checks into. It's not his main business. It is a cash generating business that he is obviously managing and has set up. So it's really interesting how he has structured it, his management style. So we talk employees, hiring employees at length. And then he's got a software company. So we talk on the business there and just all the things that he's working on in real estate. So fascinating guy, very intelligent. And the conversation was inspiring for me because we're getting into this ramping up of rehab business again. And so great to see how someone is structuring their business so that we can replicate a lot of the things that he's doing. So I hope you enjoy the conversation. If you're getting something out of the show, please go on, rate and review. Give us a written review because that helps us more so than just the stars. And we do love the stars, though. So let's jump into the conversation with Sharad. Here we go. Hey, Sharad, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on today. I am looking forward to having this conversation and talking about you and your business and what you're working on right now. Why don't we start off? Give us the 50,000 foot view, what you've been working on, what markets you're in, and what you do in the real estate space.
Yeah, so I do fix and flip. I started out buying whole properties. I own about 50 units, mainly free and clear. Like I think I've blown on a couple of units. And I own a property management company, but actively right now I'm doing fix and flip, do about 25, 30 deals a year. Yeah. Okay. Live in California, doing my flips in Indiana. So it's very virtual for me.
All right. I'm going to scratch my own itch and talk about this the whole show because I flipped a bunch of houses, got out of it, and now I'm like kind of turning the wheel back on and getting that going for some owner finance deals. We're going to buy them, fix them, flip them, right? So you're flipping out of state. Just kind of tell me how that evolved over time, or did you live in Indiana and you knew the market, or you traveled there?
I lived in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, lived in Chicago, right outside of, which is, I mean, the part of Indiana that I invest in, practically suburb of Chicago. I was living downtown Chicago. So just for context, this is Lake County, Indiana, about 30 to 45 minutes outside of downtown Chicago, depending on what part. My office is in Indiana. Yeah, so that's how I picked the market. I moved out of Chicago 2015. So since 2015, it's been totally remote, totally virtual. I haven't been to Chicago. I don't know. Let's just say like since COVID, I've only been there once. Yeah. So, and my project manager lives an hour north of me, and I have a virtual assistant in Philippines. So we don't have anyone local in our business.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. All right. So let's pick it apart then. You are sourcing deals. So how much of that was established prior to you leaving? The deal flow, the contractors and all of that?
When I left, like deal flow, we were getting a bunch of deals from MLS back in still 2015. You could buy a lot of stuff on MLS. We were doing some direct mail back then, buying some off-market properties, but primarily MLS and wholesalers. I had good contractors. I was doing about 40, 50 flips in 2015 when I left. And that's when I kind of started looking at some systems and processes that I needed. And right now in 2024, we're buying some from MLS, some from our direct mail marketing, some other direct to seller marketing like PPC, pay per lead, those sort of things. Yeah. But I would say about 70%, 80% of deals that we buy, we sell retail flip, your typical HGTV flips. I would say about 20, 25% are sold to other investors as cash flow properties.
Okay. So is it like a turnkey rental style?
Exactly. Just given the interest rate is high.
Do you put the tenant in?
Yeah, we put the tenant in and then we manage in-house with a property management company. Just given where the interest rate is right now, it's easier to do retail flips than turnkey. the cash flow doesn't make a lot of sense right now, depending on the property with like over 7% interest rate. So it's been easier to do retail flip. There's still very strong demand on the retail side, not as strong on the investor turnkey side.
Yeah. So when you're doing these in that market, like what's a retail sale price that you focus in, the ARV, if you will?
Our sweet spot is 150 to 250, but I would say lately most of the properties have been around 200 to 250 price point.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's similar in San Antonio. We can find deals similar to that.
Yeah.
And so you're in California, correct?
I live in San Diego area,
Okay.
but invest in Indiana, right?
Yeah. Got it. Okay. All right. So I know, again, REsimpli, right? We'll touch on it and kind of talk about, but is everything you do it through that platform?
Correct.
Like you manage the rehab, you manage everything through that single platform.
Correct. Except property management. Property management, we have a property management company. It's a totally separate part. So they use their own software to manage the properties. I mean, we have other investors that we manage properties for. So they use a separate property management software. But for my own fix and flip, so everything from direct to seller marketing all the way up to like buying properties, managing leads, buying projects, even bookkeeping, accounting, everything is done in REsimpli. I used to be an accountant, so it's kind of we baked in the accounting system. I haven't used QuickBooks in the last 3 years.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So how then, again, you've got a deal, you buy one tomorrow, you have a crew, you have an inspector, like walk us through the process of a virtual purchase, rehab, and sale.
Yeah. So our process is the person in Philippines, his name is Jay. He will negotiate on the deal, make an offer on the property, all because we're closing on everything. We're not wholesaling. So every property that we make an offer on, we're buying it, we're closing on it.
Yeah.
So every offer we make is contingent on an inspection. So we actually just made an offer today on a property, which we're going to sign contract on. The way it would work is we sign the contract and there's 48 hours of inspection period. Once that is done, then the contract goes over to Claudia. She's my project/office manager. She sends the contractors out there to give us a bid on the property. When you initially make an offer, we'll have some idea that it's going to cost 40, 50,000 based on the pictures and the way the seller explains. So we'll make an offer based on that, but it'll always be contingent on the contractor walking through. So contractor walks through, give us an estimate. If the numbers make sense, then we'll move forward on that property and we'll get pictures and videos of that property at that point. And then if everything looks good, we kick it over to the title company and then just close from there. Once the property is closed, then Claudia takes over the project and manages everything from start to end of managing the contractors. She's the one who's involved in the day-to-day business. She lives in California, also an hour north of me. She goes to Indiana about, let's say, once a quarter, once every 4 months, just to manage the contractors. The way it's set up on our end is we have a main bank account, like the company's operational account for buying and selling properties. Then I've set up a separate bank account for Claudia and then every week I'll put money in that account for her to pay contractors. So she has her own separate bank account that she uses to pay the contractors. For me, as the owner of the company, everything is managed from the numbers. How much are we buying the property for? How much are we going to put in it? And then what is our minimum expected profit from the deal? Does that make sense? Do we want to put our money into this deal given how much the profit is? And Claudia gets a base plus a percentage of the profit we make, right? So she'll make a base salary plus she'll get, depending on how much profit we make, anywhere from like 10 to 15% of the net profit of the deal. And the net profit, the way we calculate is we also include the holding period in that deal. So let's say if you buy a property for 100,000, we put 50 into it. So our total cost is 150. From the time, I just say for this example, we bought the property in January 1st and it sold on June 30th. So it took us 6 months and it cost us $150,000. So we'll take 150 and we'll take 1% for every month as our holding cost, right? So our cost, the holding cost would be $1,500 a month. It took us 6 months, so $9,000 comes out of the net profit. If we make 50, then after all the costs, we'll subtract 9,000 from it and distribute profit on the 41,000. The 9,000 goes towards like the marketing cost, holding cost, interest cost. Yeah. So there's then incentive for her to get the project done. If it takes 3 months, then she makes more money versus if it takes 6 months or a year. So yeah, that's how we set it up.
How'd you come up with the 1%? I mean, it's novel because
it's easier to calculate.
For sure. Okay. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. Simplify it.
It's less than a lot of the projects I'm using my money, then I have a line of credit that I pay about 7-8% on. So 12% covers the interest cost on that, opportunity cost, plus if marketing, a little bit of marketing cost.
Yeah. So how, with your 48-hour inspection period and the way you guys structure your contracts, how is it different if you're dealing with a direct to seller compared to a broker? Do the brokers in the market know you since you've been buying so many houses and they're like, okay, this is Sharad's deal. We're going to.
I mean, we haven't been buying a lot from MLS last 3-4 years. This year,
Yeah.
we picked up a little bit more from MLS. We've noticed like few more deals coming on the market. Pre-foreclosure, foreclosure. We just bought a short sale this week or last week.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we bought a foreclosure deal from MLS. Short sale was from MLS. We have another one that we're making an offer on today. That's on MLS. So last few years, we had not been buying a lot from MLS, maybe a deal here or there, but now we're more actively looking at MLS. We feel like there's some good opportunities there. But I'm not involved in talking to the brokers. It's Jay, who's based in Philippines. He's the one who's involved in it. He's the one who's scanning through MLS to see what's on the market, if we can make an offer on it. And because we bought a couple of properties, now we have some brokers sending us deals. Hey, this is another one that's coming on the market. So we're getting a little bit of preferential, some heads up period before a property goes on the market.
Yeah.
So for those, we don't have contingency because they're listed on the MLS. We can go view the property before we make an offer. So those are a little bit easier. They're listed on the market. We have the code, or we have our agent go check the property out, but it's the direct to seller one that we make an offer on. Those are the ones we have a contingency period on.
Yeah, got it. And so contract to close typically takes you guys how long?
Yeah, I would say depending, if there's no title issues, about like 2 weeks. Sometimes there will be some title issues where one that's been under contract for like 2-3 months, it's going through probate, but typically less than a month.
Yeah. So, and what are you seeing right now in that market? Is it back to, because in San Antonio from wholesalers and that sort of thing, we were getting up to the 80-85% ARV price points from wholesalers. I've been like you, mostly buying my own stuff. I'm direct to seller, always buying, so we were getting it 60%, or as low as you can. That makes sense. So like, what are you seeing right now and what kind of margin are you looking for typically? Hey everybody, Randall Cleared here with a special shout out to our friends over at Envone. If you're looking to diversify your investment portfolio, you've got to go check them out. It's envone.com. It's a crowdfunding platform with a wide range of investment opportunities, things like real estate investing and even bourbon barrel investing. So check them out. Envone hosts our crowdfund. It's actually a single-family real estate investment fund that we have launched with them, and we've had an awesome experience working with Levy and his team. They're super responsive, very quick to assist us with things that we need, and they have crowdfunding down to a science. Go ahead and check out episode 154, where Levy and I discuss crowdfunding in detail and how it can help you either invest or raise capital. And check this out. As a friend of the pod, launch your crowdfund with Envone, and you're going to get an exclusive 10% discount when you head over to envone.com/ABC, or simply call Levy and his team at 475-800-8716 and mention Agents Building Cash Flow. Go crush it. Happy investing. Talk to you later.
So we don't buy anything over 70% minus repairs.
Yep.
So ARV times 70% minus repairs, we don't buy any. I mean, I shouldn't say we don't. We'll push it to like 72, 75 if it's like a really good deal in a great neighborhood, because we know our holding period is going to be, shorter on that versus a neighborhood where we know it may take a little bit of time, but we will not go over 75%. And we're conservative with our ARV also. So I'm okay. I'm totally fine doing like a couple of dozen deals a year and making, net profit. Net to me of like 25,000-30,000 after everything is said and done. I'm totally more than okay with that because it doesn't take a lot of my time in the business. I'm like spending maybe 5-10 minutes a day most on the business. I do a 5-minute huddle, then I'll check, the messages my team sends me on the app and just respond to that. So I'm more than happy with that. No intention to scale the business, but I do have incentives. As long as it doesn't take a lot of my time, I have incentives baked in for Jay, my acquisition lead manager. He gets a bonus on every single deal that we do. But if we do more than a certain number of deals, then he gets extra bonus on that. Or if he helps us get a deal on a property less than 70%, he helps us get it at 60%. And then when we do sell and our profit is more than what we anticipated, then he'll make a little bit more money.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting on the sliding scale. So you have an acquisitions guy, you have project manager, you have a realtor local to the market,
Right.
and then let's talk about contractors. So do you warehouse materials? Do you have,
No.
so how do you manage the rehabs and the crews and the people? Because 24, I mean, that's still 2 a month that you have that you're
Right.
closing, setting up, and
Yeah.
you have however many 6 in the pipeline still that you're, going to market with.
Yeah. At any given time, we'll have like 5 to
Yeah.
6, 7 in pipeline. Yeah. I have never talked to the contractors that we're working with. I've never seen them, talked to them on the phone. I don't even know their names. So that's how removed I am from that part of the business.
Explain how that came about.
I mean, when I moved, I should say, when I moved from Chicago to San Diego, that's when I had those relationships with the contractors. And Claudia has been with me since 2015 or 16, my project manager. So she's
Yeah.
been with me for about like 6, 7 years now, right?
Okay.
So she's absolutely amazing. My business would not be where it is now if it were not for Claudia, or I would not be so hands off in my business if it were not for Claudia. So over a period of time, we went through a transition period where the contractors we were working with, they were not fitting kind of what we were wanting to do. So Claudia is the one who helped us, the set of contractors that we're working with. And she's the one who's constantly looking for other contractors. Like just a couple of months ago, I bought an 11 unit for myself. So she found another set of contractors based on the referral. I honestly don't even know their name. I've not talked to them. I don't qualify them. Claudia is the one who manages all of that. For me, the only thing I look for is, because we're listing these properties on the market, so when they go on the market, we have our own inspector. A home inspector goes and checks these properties just to make sure that there's no major issue on the property before we list it on the market. And then because they're going on the market, so our agent also, that's another set of eyes. She'll give us feedback on, hey, this property looks like shit, or, this property looks amazing. We'll be able to move it really quick. So we have those two checks built in. And then we're looking to scale our business without me being too involved. So Claudia is going to start traveling every other month or once every 6 weeks just to keep an eye on the contractors and, maybe build a team of contractors. But yeah, I am not involved at all. And we don't work with the GC. We sub everything out. So I know Claudia is more involved in managing plumbers, electrician, HVAC, and like carpenters. But that's something like I'm super grateful to Claudia for that. She's the one who's managing the day-to-day. My role is, hey, we thought when we bought the property, we were going to make 50,000. Did we make 50? Yes or no?
Yeah.
It's just basically that. If we did, yeah, it's great. Let's just do more of these.
Yeah. That's incredible. Okay. I've had many iterations. I don't know if that was you guys just built over time. And so you guys have worked that out. There's another guy. I don't know if you know him. He's out in California as well. He used to run 7-figure flipping. I don't know if you know Justin Williams.
Yes. I've heard his name.
Okay. He had a similar setup where he had an assistant who kind of ran all the rehabs, set everything up, and he trained her. So how did you build that relationship, and how did you guys know each other in order to get
Claudia?
Yeah.
I honestly posted an ad on Craigslist, said looking for an assistant who can. So at that point, Claudia was living like 10 minutes from where I lived. So I posted an ad. I need someone to come and work from the office full time. So she came in for a week. I had a home office. I put another desk and chair. She came in. She was doing great. I'm like, Claudia, you know what? You're doing great. You don't need to come in every day. Just come in like 3 days a week. After a week, I'm like, Claudia, you're doing great. Just come in like once a week. And then after like another week, I'm like, Claudia, you don't need to even come in. Just work from home. You know what you need to do, so you don't have to come into the office. So one thing I love about Claudia is, this is off my agent, that she's very mindful of not bringing any problems to me, but solving them and then just telling me about it.
Yeah.
Which sometimes pisses off my agent. He's like, hey, she doesn't even tell you about this problem. And I'm like, yeah, that's how I like it.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. I mean, unless it's something really big that I need to make decision. I trust Claudia. She's been with me for 6, 7 years now.
Yeah.
And she's looking out for my best interest. I'm totally cool with if something goes wrong. I mean, it's a business, the nature of the business. There are things, sometimes things are going to go wrong. Not every project we make as much as we thought, but some we make more than we thought. I'm totally cool with some projects having an issue. I don't need to be involved in every single decision. If it's like a big decision about, hey, should we look into this area? This is like an area on the fence. We haven't bought anything. Should we do that? Just like literally, we bought a property in a neighborhood or in a city where we had not bought anything. We bought it for 60 or 55 or 60, and the numbers looked absolutely amazing. But once we started working on that project, it turns out the city is absolutely difficult to work with for non-homeowners. So we just decided, hey, we're just going to put it on the market, and we're still going to make like 65,000 on it, just cleaning it up and putting it on the market. That wasn't our intention.
Yeah.
But Claudia is the one who came to me and said, hey, Sharad, I think this is going to be a difficult one. I've tried everything, but the city is very hard to work with. I'm just going to list it on the market. She found the agent, she listed it, she signed on my behalf, and we're closing on Monday, and we're going to make about 65 or 70 on it, which is absolutely amazing. I didn't even know when it went on the market. She took care of all of it. And so the way we have it set up, we buy and sell everything with the same title company, right? Which we've done all our deals, pretty much all our deals, I should say, with the same title company. So we've done, if you include buy and sell transaction, we've done over like 1,300 transactions, buy and sell with the same title company. So title company knows that, hey, if this is a deal for us, where the money needs to go. So they don't even have to ask me for the writing instruction. Like, I don't even sign the selling documents because they need to be notarized. So I have my property manager in the area that I've given power of attorney, though she goes and signs on my behalf, but the money comes into the bank account of the company. So we've set up like those systems and processes in place just to take care of it. My role in the business, the way I look at my role in the business is to make sure we always have enough money available to buy the deals that we want to buy. As long as we have that, and then there are people on the back end managing everything, and I don't have to get too involved, I'm very happy with that. If my team wants to do 50 deals this year without me getting very involved, I'm totally cool with that, but it should not take a lot of my time to get to that number of 50. Like, I'm okay doing 25, 30, but of course, the more deals we do, the more money Claudia and Jay are going to make. So I've said, hey, we can do this. We have money available for it, but don't get me involved in the business.
Yeah.
And so that's how we've set it up.
That's awesome. I mean, it really is incredible. Have you ever read The Founder of the Force Multiplier?
No.
It's a book. I mean, it's one of many. It's Adam Herrengrother, I think is his last name. But he was a real estate agent, and he hired an assistant, and how she transformed his entire business. And so I think of this a lot, in how you have that second in command that can really like totally transform everything you're working on. So to that point, do you think Claudia was built that way, or did you train her that way to take problems and solve them? I
think she was built that way. She's super organized. And one thing I've realized, between my property management business, my house flipping business recently, I've realized, for the most part, if we hire the people with the right work ethics and they don't have the right skill, that's totally fine with that. We've hired people in the past that had absolutely amazing skills, but they didn't have the right work ethics, right? So let's say if I hire someone, they have all the skills in the world they need, but they don't have the right work ethic. They don't show up on time. They steal from the company. There's no training that I can send them to and say, hey, can you go take this training? It's going to teach you how to be honest, right? How to show up on time. Yeah. But if they're honest, they're willing to learn, show up on time, and ready to work hard, I can say, hey, can you go take this training on how to do property management, how to do project management? My property manager, she didn't come from any real estate business. She's absolutely amazing. And then I've given her like equity in the business, or like pretty good chunk of profit share in the business. But she didn't come from real estate. She was just a hardworking person. I said, hey, you're doing absolutely amazing. How about I pay for your license? You go get licensed, and I'll build a property management company around you, and you'll get percentage of the profit. So she's super happy. I'm super happy that I don't have to get involved. Like, she's the only person I talk to like once a week for like 10, 15 minutes, just to check in. Hey, how you doing? Everything good? And we have 3 other people in the property management. I don't even know their name. I don't need to know their names. So that's how we kind of build. If there's someone that's willing to work hard, willing to take ownership, then I want to get out of their way, and I just want to trust them. But initially we'll set up processes on, hey, make sure like this is going according to plan, right? I'll check in a little bit more, but as they're proving themselves, then I just don't have to check in as often. Then I can just manage everything by the numbers, right? If when we buy the property, if we expect we're going to make 50,000 and we make 50 or more, there's no need for me to question that, right? We're making what we thought we were going to make, or in some cases more than like this property that we thought was going to be a problem property, but we're actually going to make pretty good money on it. I don't have any reason to question, right? Claudia's happy that we don't have to manage the project, and, we're going to make good profit, and she's going to get, percentage of the profit on that deal. So it works out for everyone. Okay. A couple questions then. One, again, I just love the way you structured it and the way you've set it up and let people go. And you're like, I just get out of their way.
So to that point, how do you screen for work ethic if that's one of the biggest things that you're looking for?
I mean, that's one thing that's tough to screen for. Like, we're realizing, as we're hiring more people, it's important to take time to hire, like just the cliche of hire slow, fire fast. Honestly, I've been very fortunate. Honestly, it's based on gut feeling, right? Like how someone presents themselves, they show up on time, how they present themselves, like what is their motivation for that job, right? Are they asking questions about just money? I mean, of course, everybody wants to make money, but it's hard to judge someone or qualify someone on work ethics, right? There's no test you can have them take. I mean, there's some personality tests that people can take. I don't have anybody take that. Like if I'm hiring someone, it's just based on like kind of the conversation we're having, right? I'll just talk to them, hey, this is how our business is, this is how it's growing, and just see, do they get excited about the same things in the business that I'm excited about? Or are they focused on some other part of the business that's not really relevant to me? Or do their goals in the long term align with what my goals are? Like those are things that you look for. I mean, it's not a perfect system. Sometimes you'll hire someone which you think is going to be a great fit, but then you end up finding out after a month or two, this person is not working out, then you just got to move on. People are going to present themselves the best they can on the interview, and you can only go based on the interview past references. But after that, you hire them and put them in a position. If they're willing to succeed, then I'll make sure I give them all the opportunities possible for them to make as much money as they possibly can, while keeping the incentive of the goals of the business and their personal goals aligned. But if they're not willing to do that, if they're not willing to work hard, show up and, do the right things, then we just got to move on.
Yeah. So that's kind of why I ask. I was like, are you hiring fast and firing fast? Like sometimes you
No.
just got to get through it and figure out how they are on the job is partly what I found.
I mean, there might be some times where we need to hire fast, right? I mean, like last year, we had some turnover in our REsimpli in customer support, and we were like really, really short on our staff. So we had to hire fast, right? Sometimes you may get lucky, sometimes you may not. So we hired some people, and then a couple of them worked out, some of them did not work out, then you just move on from that and just learn from your mistakes. But now that we're full capacity and we're hiring more people, it's like, hey, just make sure we're hiring absolutely top of the top people.
Yeah.
No need to rush into anything. So yeah, but if we're in a situation where like really, really short staff, and then you just gotta, make quick decisions and hire fast.
Yeah. I can see it going both ways. And maybe again, like you said, if you're in a rush, you can actually end up with more people and just you'll see the ones that rise to the top quickly.
Exactly.
All right. So then the other question I've got is properly incentivizing. I didn't know we were going to talk employees or anything, but it's
no, I love where this is going.
I love how you've structured it. And so I just want to know. So when you're figuring out compensation with your staff, so you got Claudia, she comes on, you said you're paying her a base plus a bonus, right? So how did you work out her base? Was it just having a conversation and you figured out how much she needed? And okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I said, hey, look, your base is going to be lower, but my hope would be you make a lot more money from the incentive that you do from the base, where the base is just kind of for the sake of it.
Mm-hmm.
So she's making a lot more money on the bonus than she's making on the base. And then the more money we make as a company, the more money she makes in the company.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we'll have a conversation where, let's say, she helps me source a deal from her contacts. She manages the project, and she also helps me on the disposition, where she might say, hey, Sharad, on this, instead of like, let's say 3,000, I feel like it is a 4,000 because I saved you money on this. I'm like, okay, I think that's fair. That's cool. So I'll just tell my bookkeeper agent, like for this property, the bonus would be 4,000 instead of 3,000.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. And so, yeah, that's awesome. Again, it's one of those things, like just keeping the incentives aligned. When we were wholesaling a bunch of properties, it was difficult to keep the sales staff happy with the incentive structure that we had. And so I ask people now the same thing, like, how do you figure out the incentives that keep them aligned and keep the company running? Because at some point you can't pay more because the company will go broke and there are expenses.
One other thing we've started doing, like we have on REsimpli, we have our customer support based in Philippines, right? So the head of our CS team, I asked him, Anthony, what's a good competitive base pay in Philippines? So let's start there, right? Let's just start there. We may be able to hire someone for like $4 an hour, right? But if they would be happy with 6, right? Let's just start them at 6. and then have a lot of incentives baked in there. And then the question we have to ask is, okay, we could hire someone for $4 an hour, right? And they end up leaving for another job for $5 an hour, $6 an hour. What is our reaction going to be? Is it going to be, oh, yeah, we'll hire another one? I'm like, oh man, I can't believe we lost that person for like $1 or $2 an hour, for example.
Yeah.
If that's what our reaction is going to be, let's just pay them so they never have to leave.
Yeah.
And then have enough incentives where they feel like every day they show up, the more they help us produce, or the more they're producing, the more, like we have lead indicators, lag indicators, depending on the role. If they're helping us meeting these targets, and the more money they make, again, the goal would be where we're giving them really competitive base, but they can make a lot of money from the incentives also. But the question we have to ask is, how would I feel if this person that I'm paying, whatever base I'm paying, if they decide to leave this job for 20, 30% more? Would I be like, man, I would have totally paid them, that person, right? Let's just pay them that right now, what we think they're worth to us, what we value them at. And if they leave at that point, let's say we're paying someone $60,000 per year, right? How would we feel if that person got an offer of 100,000 and it ends up leaving? Like, we don't want that person to be in that situation. So we have this open conversation where we ask, hey, do you feel like you're fairly compensated, right? And then we say, if you ever feel like it's not, just let us know, have the conversation. At least, like, don't surprise us by saying you love the company, you love the job, but you're leaving for a little bit more money, right? So one question we ask everyone on our team, a CS team, on a weekly basis is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you right now this week? 10 being absolutely amazing job, I love everything about it. 1 being, hey, I've already interviewed, you'll see my 2-week notice tomorrow. And then if it's anything less than 10, we want to ask why. You feel like you're working too much, you feel like you're not fairly compensated, you feel like the company culture is not good. So we want to know those things, right? So we ask every single team member on a weekly basis. And then the people that are directly reporting to me, I'll just call them and say, hey, how's everything going? Like, I had a call with Gabby, who's my property manager. Just like, hey, Gabby, how you doing? Are you happy with everything? Like, we just talked a month or 6 weeks ago about her pay increase, and we also increased her profit share percentage. So I just checked him like, hey, did you get last quarter profit share? Are you happy with everything? How much you're making, and I'm going to be in Chicago in July. So I said, yeah, I'm going to be in Chicago in July, so I'll come see you, but everything going good. Just checking in on those things before it becomes a surprise. It's good to have that conversation ahead of time, so you're not taken by surprise. Because it's happened in the past where we had a person in Philippines, we're paying her like $6 an hour. She was happy, but she ended up leaving for a job making $10 an hour. I'm like, oh man, we were totally paid her that, because she was so good. But, so that's a lesson we learned. So we have those conversations. We're proactive about having those conversations, right?
Yeah.
And we pay them a little bit more and put an incentive so they feel like they're fairly compensated. And I also went and visited every single team member in Philippines a couple of months ago. We actually had everyone flying from different parts of the country. We rented this Airbnb like on the beach and just had a good time for like a weekend. Everybody loved that, right? Yeah. So we want to make sure that they feel like they're part of something bigger. It's not just a job for them. We're just creating something bigger than anyone individually in the company.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Like the culture and going over. There are a lot of people that I know that hire in the Philippines or hire abroad or hire somewhere, and then it's never a real employee of the company.
Right.
Or treated like, it's just an appendage almost,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's nice to hear. I guess through all the companies, what does the staff look like for REsimpli? And I mean, it sounds like everything's pretty remote, right? So
yeah, we have 2 people in US, my assistant and affiliate manager. Everyone else is remote. Claudia's in US, and my property managers, of course. The property management company is all local in Indiana. And so that's how kind of we're set up. The development team is in India. The support team is in Philippines for REsimpli, and the marketing team is in Bangladesh.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to this year? I mean, what are you guys working on? Are you working mostly on REsimpli? Is that what's occupying most of your time?
Yeah, that's what occupies most of my time, because there's a lot of moving pieces there, like with the property management company, the house flipping, and my rental properties, that we have a pretty good system around it. I mean, we have a good system around REsimpli also, but we're working on some pretty incredible product updates this year that I'm very, very excited about. So this year, it's lots and lots of product updates that I'm super excited about. I've shown preview to some of our big customers, getting their feedback, and like they're all super excited, looking forward to that. That's the stuff that brings me the most joy, and that's the stuff that I like to spend most of my time on.
Yeah. So tell us what REsimpli is. We've beat around the bush a little bit. I know we're not doing a pitch fest or anything, but just what are you working on and what is it?
Yeah, it's an all-in-one software for real estate investors, mainly people that are doing direct-to-seller marketing. So it's an end-to-end business management software, everything from managing their data to doing marketing like websites, dialer, direct mail, lead management software, and then like you manage your operations, like your buyers, your vendors, your bookkeeping, accounting. So the goal was, when we started the company, was there was like three things it had to do. It had to be all-in-one software, where we didn't have to jump in multiple software. It had to be super simple to use, hence the name REsimpli. And it had to give us really good data, KPI, so we could make decisions based on that. So that's how it started. And like at this point, I'm running everything in my business from REsimpli, and we have thousands of other companies using our platform, all the way from people that are just starting out, looking for their first deal, all the way up to people that are doing 25, 30 deals a month using our system.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I've torn through so many CRMs and so many different things. There's a guy local to San Antonio that had one he was coming out with. And I mean, we went through Zoho, we went through HubSpot, and we had 17 different things, Mojo, we had like all the different dialers, all the different things. And so if you're compressing all of that into one software, then it's beneficial. Yeah. You can definitely see that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was the goal from day one. It had to be an all-in-one software.
So when did you actually launch that? How long has it been around?
For 4 years now.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years since we opened it up for other people.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it is. I mean, I was playing around with it, so I'm going to play around with it some more, but I don't have much else, man. It seems like you're just kicking it and doing really well. The very interesting thing to me still is being able to flip remotely, and the fact that you're a very laid back guy. Like, you seem very laid back, and you're like, if somebody's going to do it, I'm going to get out of their way. And so the structure that you've set up around that, if anybody can replicate that, I think it leads to a relaxed lifestyle on the real estate investing front alone. Like, if you could just do 20 flips a year without spending more than 10 minutes a day on it, like, that's fantastic in its own right.
It's not a complicated system. Like, it's not like anything like I have intellectual property on, or like, it's a very simple system. Align my incentives with that of every single team member, and that's it. Like, as long as that's the case, then if they're motivated, if they're self-motivated, then they're going to do what they need to do, and I get out of their way. Then I'm very clear about making sure we always have enough money to buy the properties. As long as we do, then, like, they're not going to buy something just for the sake of buying if it's not going to make any money, right? I mean, we also have another thing. We have an incentive that every deal that we do, it has to make minimum like $15,000 in net profit. So there's no bonus given to Claudia if you make less than 15 on any deal. So that's another thing. Like, that's the floor that we have on every single deal. And then it can go higher than 15, but if it's less than 15, then she doesn't get any incentive on the deal.
None of the bonuses on it. What about the acquisitions guy? They getting bonused if it makes less than 15, or is there a bonus paid up front just for finding and sourcing the deal?
He will get bonus paid up front, but he won't get anything on the back end. I mean, it's not happened where we've made less than 15, but we have that in place. I think that's one of the reasons why it's not happened. We won't look at any marginal deals. It has to minimum 15. So then Claudia will add her own buffer on top of it, right? If it's going to, let's say, make 18, it's like not worth it, right? So for it to make sense for her, it needs to be 30. So if something goes wrong, so she's still making a little bit of money on the deal.
Yeah, and then you can just turn and burn as many deals as they want to do.
Exactly, as long as it doesn't take a lot of my time.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. So we've kind of transitioned into this phase. I was doing similar to you. I was always subcontracting everything out, having all my own crews and guys, and I was warehousing materials, doing all that stuff. And I've always wanted to have a system similar to what you've got going on. It's just like, I've got capital, let's put it to work, and you guys run around and do. So again, kudos to you.
I mean, we could warehouse some stuff. I have a garage storage at our property management company. We own our own building. We could do that, but I'm like, is it really the best use of our time and effort? Yeah, it'll save us some money, but would that take time away from doing other things? Maybe, like, of all the projects we're doing, let's say it saves us like 30, 40,000. Yeah, I would rather do an extra deal and not have to focus on that and let the contractors make a little bit of money, extra money on that. But then it opens up our time to do another deal or two because we're not worried about like inventory stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how I look at it.
For sure. The only thing that I would say, I interviewed a guy the other day. There's a deal that that Lowe's has where they'll set up your whole warehouse. Have you seen it?
Yeah. We had something with Home Depot, but it's like, I really look at, is there another thing that we have to manage, like then we're getting bids from our contractors for labor only. We're paying for the material. There's like, we have to approve the material stuff. We used to have that deal with Home Depot. I mean, I would get some pretty good sized checks from them, like 2% cash back or something. They were pretty decent sized checks, but I'm like, it's great. But now like someone has to approve those transactions, right? It's like, is it really worth it? No. You know, I mean, if that was my full-time gig, maybe yes, but like the way I look at it is that my time is super, super valuable, right? So I'm totally cool with letting go of that, but having one less thing to manage. And maybe that one less thing will help me buy a couple of extra deals and more than offset the savings on. That's how I look at it.
For sure.
Yeah, and it works for me. It's some people might hear like, oh, dude, you're leaving so much money on the table. I'm totally cool with that. I totally understand. Like I have all my properties free and clear. I have 50 units, or 95% of them are paid for free. I 100% understand if I leverage, I can add another 2x, 3x the units that I have, but I don't want that. I'm more than happy have free and clear cash flow. The lifestyle that I have, it's more than happy with that. Makes sense to me. It may not make sense to everyone. So I value my time very, very highly. So again, it's the system that works for me. It's very, very simple. I don't need any like tools or anything to manage. It's like, this is what we're going to do day in, day out. Follow that. And that's it. It's like going to a gym. If I go to gym every day, eat healthy, I'm going to lose weight. There's like no two ways about it.
Love it. Yeah. It's that simple. Just do that.
Yeah. It's just do that. I mean, just do the boring stuff every day.
Yeah.
There's nothing like, we don't have to have any fancy spreadsheet. Like we don't use any Google Sheet spreadsheet. Like we literally have a calculator built in REsimpli, just plug in the numbers and that's it. Like we just put how much we're going to sell this property for, how much we're going to spend on rehab, and it just spits out maximum offer on that. That's just a very, very simple system. Like I love the simplicity of what we have. I may be leaving some money on the table, but it works for me. Super happy with it. My team is happy with it. And that's what it all comes down to.
Yeah. Well, Sharad, it's been awesome catching up, man. It's inspiring. Again, I hear it. I hear the story, and it's like that thing that being able to manage deals and 50 projects without much time. I mean, that really is why so many people get into real estate investing. And I think too often get sidetracked trying to perfect something. I definitely am guilty of this. Like I'm going to make this perfect system and everything's going to be great. And then I'm spending all my time like managing a system instead of just keeping it simple and just letting people do their work and be okay leaving some money or sharing some of the profit with partners and people who will make my life easier. So again, inspiring. So I appreciate you jumping on. I'm going to put all your contact info in the show notes. If you are looking to invest or you're looking to get a software, I know Sharad has a software. We'll put a link to REsimpli in the show notes as well, so you can click through to that. Yeah. So again, appreciate you jumping on.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Did you know that 80% of the agents we speak with got into real estate in order to gain passive income so they could obtain financial freedom and become work optional? If you want to stay up to date, the best way is to make sure you're subscribed. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and do it now. We'll catch you on the next episode.